Hi everybody, it's Mallory Donahue from the Self-Sewn Wardrobe, and just a reminder that all of the sewing fun this week is brought to you by The Confident Stitch. The Confident Stitch is actually a brick-and-mortar store in Missoula, Montana, where you can get garment sewing fabrics and patterns, especially if you like to buy indie patterns that you don't have to tape together. And this month they are putting all of their denim and jeans patterns on sale for us. So if you go to sewhere.com/confident and then you use the code SEWHERE15, there it is, you will get 15% off of denim and jeans patterns. And if you're watching out there, say hello. We are happy to have you this morning. And today I'm going to be talking about assuaging your jeans sewing fears. So I'm not demoing a ton of techniques right now, but I am going to give you some pointers and some guidance and some reasoning behind why you shouldn't be afraid of making jeans, or you should be no more afraid than anything else you're going to make ever, okay? So, hi Priscilla, hi Rachel, good to see you all. I asked in the group, I said, what are your biggest fears about making jeans? And it was really nice to see what people are afraid of. And then I would say, I think there's like 200 something comments on there. I would say every about fifth comment, there was someone who said, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of making jeans. I make 3 pairs a year. I make, I don't know. I was afraid when I first started, but now I'm not afraid anymore. You know, things like that. So, even if that's not you yet, I hope that you take that as kind of an encouragement, that there were people who used to be afraid and are not afraid anymore, or that there are people out there who are like, no, it's fine. It's just another project. And sewing, as we covered in a Sewing Out Loud podcast episode, sewing is not easy. Sewing is not something that you just like go in and do and the first time you get it perfectly right a lot of the time. And so you're used to that from other projects, I would imagine. Like, ever made a bag and messed it up? Okay. Ever made a quilt and messed it up or something like that? I mean, I don't think there's anything more scary about jeans than those other things when you really start to break it down and when you come from a very informed place. So I'm trying to be very encouraging of you to go ahead and make your own jeans. All right, and then if you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments. And if you want me to be able to see your name, make sure to give me permission. In the description of the broadcast, it says that to give ecamm permission to see your name so I can see your name. Okay, so the big one, I think, that a lot of people pointed out was wasting time and money on, getting the perfect fit, or wasting time and money on making jeans, etc., things like that. Okay, well, first of all, I think we all know that this is not a cheap hobby. No, right now, in our world, if you live in an industrialized nation, like the United States, a lot of times clothing is very, very inexpensive. And the reasons behind that don't always make us feel super great about buying clothing. So we want to make our own clothing for various reasons, for fit, perhaps for some ethical reasons, etc. So yeah. Wasting time and money. This is totally valid. I would never dismiss anyone's monetary concerns about sewing, but I would argue that one of the only things that you really need to buy extra, maybe, when you're making jeans, is maybe like 2 extra yards of fabric, okay? In order to make a muslin. So a lot of people are saying, I don't want to make 12 muslins and never get the fit right and da-da-da-da-da. Well, you're going to educate yourself on fit. That's going to come later. But in terms of purchasing a pattern, okay, if you do some research and you find a pattern that is a good starting point for you, that is great. So you're going to purchase a pattern. You'll use that pattern for your muslin and for your final pair of jeans, okay? In terms of a zipper, jean zippers are pretty darn cheap. If it doesn't work out in your muslin, you can take it out and use it on something else, like on your final pair of jeans. So jean zipper, could be a little bit of an expense, but there you go. Thread, don't use like nice top stitching thread on your muslin, okay? So don't do that. Any interfacing or anything you might need, negligible there. really what you're going to do is you're going to want to buy a couple of yards of fabric that's similar to what you want your final pair of jeans made out of, okay? And this is going to have to do with fit. I will get back to this. So let's say that stretch denim, I would say that most of the stretch denim I see out there is $15 a yard, $16 a yard. Let's say you have to get it shipped or something like that. Let's go up on the high end. I'd say like $40 to get yourself 2 yards of fabric shipped to you on top of what you may already buy. Well, first of all, you should go to SewHere. Oh, there you go. You should go to sewhere.com/confident and shop for some stretch denim there and get 15% off by using code SewHere15. So get some fabric that's, that could be on sale, etc. But I do want to say, I think you should be able to get pretty close to your final destination if you do quite a bit of research and reading before you make your jeans. Hi, Kim. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I can't see your name, but when I sewed a pair of jeans for the first time, I cut them on the bias, thinking that would give them a little more stretch from non-stretch fabric. They ended up like one of those finger trap toys, and I couldn't get them off. Yeah. Happy to say I've made dozens of successful pairs of jeans after that, which were not on the bias. Okay, so this is a wonderful story of a mistake, due to like maybe some like misguided hope toward, a certain purpose. But now this person has made lots of jeans that fit them. So yeah, it might be a process. I'm not going to say that you might not spend a bit of time on this. However, when I taught ginger jeans, I've brought this up before. Hey, Erin. Okay, Erin, that's good to know. When I taught the ginger jeans class at the studio, I was pretty good about getting people into a very close size on our first try. I think I taught about 12 people in the first session, and there was one person I went down a size, should have gone up, and and that was my bad. Okay, but if you read about fitting, the ginger jeans is a great pattern to start off with. I think it's a very trendy pattern. It's something trendy as in relevant, okay? A pattern that I think a lot of people will, feel stylish wearing, and a lot of people said that they were worried about a homemade look, okay? So that's great. Something else you could do is, you could invest in like a class, okay? The Closet Case Patterns Jeans class has been highly recommended by many people in our group. All right, let's move on. Okay, you might have to take some time. You might have to spend some money, yes, but I argue maybe it's not quite as much as you think, and you can use a lot of things that you already have on hand from your stash. So what you might need is that specialized stretch denim fabric if you don't have some already. All right, fitting. Woo! Okay, so this has to do with your muslin. All right, you're going to read lots of things on the internet. You're going to look up jeans fitting. You're going to read the Closet Case Files jeans fitting ebook or whatever, her blog post, You're going to see these things about full belly adjustment and thigh adjustment and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, first of all, do not alter your pattern until you have measured your body and then measured the pattern, okay? Because I had a lot of people come into that jeans making class who said, oh, I got to make my own jeans because my thighs are way too big for ready to wear. Oh, my butt's too big for ready to wear. My thighs, can't get a pair of jeans that fits me in the waist, but then, fits my thighs as well, okay? So this was like a big problem across the board. Well, the ginger jeans pattern just so happened to be cut very generously in the thighs. Many of these people who complained about that being their main problem were fine. Didn't need anything in the thigh area. They were great. If they'd just gone on that assumption that they feel that from their experience in ready-to-wear, they needed a full thigh adjustment or something, they would have been incorrect on this pattern, okay? So we measured those things. Don't go into something and say, I have a full belly, I need a full belly adjustment before you measure the pattern and measure your body, okay? I think that can just end up really throwing you for a loop, okay? A lot of those fitting adjustments can be seen, all around the internet. I'm going to post a link to a few of the Closet Case Patterns blog posts, but the other thing that is just, I've seen this around a ton, and actually just today in the group, is there are actually some really simple things you can do that make a big difference. When you try on your jeans and you see like a lot of wrinkling in the legs, just folding up the bottom of the jeans in order to get them to the right length is going to take away a ton of that wrinkling. I can't remember who posted these jeans just this morning. They're made out of white stretch denim, like a white stretch twill. They were lovely. And yeah, they were giving her wrinkles, and finally somebody said, "Oh, hey, turn up the hem, see what happens." And she was like, "Oh my God, it took away like so many wrinkles." So yeah, it can make a huge difference. What a big deal. Hi, Saritha, good to see you. So anyway, I just, the fitting, I know it can be intimidating. I think, well, actually, this is what the zine is about this month, and the zine has not been released yet. I'm still working through a few things. But a lot of people have talked about their belly, okay? If you have an issue with your belly, like I do, an issue, whatever that means. If you think you have an issue about your belly, that is something that I think we need to come at from a few different angles, okay? So not just the fitting adjustments that are recommended, but how you want your belly to look in jeans. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says it's her first time here. So, fitting things like a full bottom or something like that, actually pretty easy. I'm not going to lie. It's increasing that rise. But before you do anything, measure the pattern and measure your body before you go on a rampage, okay? So that's with fitting. And yes, you might require a muslin or two. If you need like 4 muslins, you need to come in, you need to ask for help in the group, you need to tell us your measurements, and we are going to get you like on the right track, okay? So you feel free to ask for help, but you should really be able to determine a pretty close size on your muslin. The other thing about fitting, and we're releasing a Sewing Out Loud podcast about this later this month, is that basting is going to be your friend. Hi, Naomi. Basting your jeans together, when you cut out the size you think you need, and then you baste them together and put them on your body, that is what you have to do, especially, I think, for a trouser or a jean pattern. This isn't, Sammy says, yeah, I'm a 4 muslin girl. You get in here. We'll help you, Sammy, okay? We're going to help you. Sammy, you didn't post the white jeans this morning, did you? Tell me that. I'm sorry if I'm getting my Sams mixed up. Okay, where was I? Basting your jeans and putting them together. This is very important, and you can't really, tissue fit a pair of stretch jeans. And I mean, I'd honestly argue, I'm not a huge fan of, tissue fitting. I don't know. I mean, you can tissue fit pants, but, I want to know how it's going to feel when I'm, sitting down in them. I mean, it could be a good starting point, but I find it to be a little bit of a waste of time. I'd rather, measure my pattern, measure my body, and just make them out of something. I'm willing to, maybe sacrifice that couple of yards of fabric to get a good idea of what I need, okay? You can always take away, but you don't want to start out too big, because then you're just, going to distort the pattern out the wazoo, okay? So, we can help you, Sammy. Sammy said she wasn't the white jeans person. Okay. So, with fitting, basting is going to be your friend. This was new to me when I first made jeans. It's something that Heather recommends in the Ginger Jeans pattern and on her blog. And it's something that Claire brought up in the main post of What Are Your Jean Spheres. She said, it bugs me that every new pair I make could fit a little differently. Yes, this is totally true. In the ready-to-wear world, when someone manufactures a garment, okay, it is manufactured, things are cut, things are calculated to the exact stretch, the exact color of the denim that's being used. If it changes color, if it changes stretch or anything, the whole garment will be re-specified, okay? Everything will be retested. We don't completely have that luxury, but we can know, okay, I got about this fit, but oh my gosh, this denim just happens to be a little stretchier and I want to take them up a little bit more. Or, the dye application on this denim, I have some stretch twill like this. it's kind of stiff, you know, and I'm like, okay, might want a little bit more room there. Also, basting them together allows you to move around in them a little bit, okay? So that to me is one of the biggest tests. I almost wouldn't even worry if, like, while I'm standing up straight and taking a picture for Facebook, there's a couple of wrinkles. I'd be more worried about how they feel. And yeah, don't go wrinkle crazy. It's okay. Your clothes are not painted on you. All right? There are going to be some wrinkles. Like, because I'm sitting here in my cardigan and, like, I've been moving my arm around, there are, like, you know, some wrinkles. It's fine. Okay. All right. What's next? Techniques. Okay, so people are like, I don't want to waste money and, like, totally screw up the fly on my $15 a yard, you know, fabric pair of jeans. All right, practice the fly on something else, okay? If you are going to do a fly zipper, you can practice that on just about anything else to get the mental gymnastics of putting in a fly. And it's magical once you get it. And will you have to look it up again the next time you do it? Maybe. That's fine. Okay, but practice on something else. Yeah, don't do that on your expensive stuff first. Practice it twice. Take the zipper out of the first one and reuse it. Jean zippers, pretty inexpensive in the grand scheme of things, okay? So, you know, buy 10. And so anyway, you don't have to have your first pair of jeans be your first fly, okay? You don't have to have your first pair of jeans be the first time you try rivets, okay? You can practice on other things. So try and duplicate the process as much as you can. You know, use a canvas or use a thicker duck that you have on hand or something like that, or if you have extra stretch denim, just, you know, cut out that top front of the pants with the fly area and practice it first, okay? Treat yourself like a student, okay, and practice that. Other techniques, Sammy says, can I put a side zipper into a pattern that calls for a front fly? I much prefer a side zip. Well, I mean, you can, yes, and I appreciate that because I am about to make the Jenny trousers from Closet Case, and that has a side zip, and so you can. But, like, in order to make it look nice, there are other things that kind of need to happen there. So, like, if you don't know how to do those, it might be a little hard. However, this brings up another concept for me. And, like, the waistband will have to be altered, okay, or changed or whatever. Sammy, when you are practicing techniques, like the fly, like, let's say you have a pattern that's not from Closet Case Files, but you like her fly sewing, her fly zipper technique that she shows on her blog, you can most likely use that tutorial on just about any front fly zipper pattern. In fact, I've done that. I've made a pair of pants and I was like, I do not understand how these people are talking about putting in their fly, but it's like the same, you know, as another, you know, it's just a fly zipper. So if you found another tutorial that, you know, does that, I mean, all of them are going to, like, preserve the seam allowance in the center of the pants and all of that, okay? So, but yes, I mean, it is possible, but just keep that in mind that there are some other sort of, you know, things that go into that, but check out some other tutorials, try to put it together, muslin it out, hey, okay, so, feel free to do that. Now, also, don't be hemmed in by thinking that you have to use traditional jeans making techniques. There are a couple of things that people were kind of complaining about in particular, which I could probably put under fabric or put under techniques, and that's fabric thickness and thread tension, okay? So, here's the deal. Jeans are traditionally made with a flat felled seam, but you don't have to do that, and I'll tell you a couple reasons why you don't want to do it if that scares you, okay? They take longer, okay? It's a few more steps. It can be very confusing for people in the fly area doing a flat felt seam. What I have my people do, I have them sew their jeans, okay, fabric, all their seams, just right sides together, okay? And then I have them finish the edge. Now, I did this on a sewing machine. I am spoiled and I have, like, amazing sergers, so what I actually do on my jeans is I actually go over to the serger. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I get a lot of people who are like, I don't have a serger. And so I want you to know, if you are on a sewing machine, you can use this technique. And so you just sew through 2 layers of denim. Your machine should be able to handle that. So if you're worried about fabric thickness, here we are. Sew through your 2 layers, overcast them, okay, serge them. And then when you turn it right side out, I just fold my, oh, here we go. Yep, sorry, don't turn it right side out. Here's the inside of my jeans. I just fold that flap over in the direction I want to top stitch, and then you can top stitch. Now check this out. This is kind of like a lighter blue denim, and I did some black top stitching here. Okay, this thinner line right here is just a straight stitch with polyester construction thread. Okay, it's like normal weight, like all-purpose thread that you would use to construct anything. Thread that is strong enough to construct with. Okay, it's not decorative. And then over here, the other thicker line of stitching you see, that is the triple straight stitch using that construction thread. Okay, so it's more of a matte look than like an embroidery thread or something like that. And what did this do for me? I didn't have to change my tension. Okay, for top stitching thread, I didn't have to change my thread because I think Andrea said that something that really intimidated her was going back and forth between construction thread and top stitching thread, da-da-da-da-da. Well, if you want to minimize the amount of things you're worrying about, like on your first pair, you could eliminate that issue altogether and give it a shot, okay? I don't think it looks that bad. I am not intimidated by top stitching thread, but let's see. Am I getting that in there? It is something that you can do, all right? So if you're wanting to ease into this a little bit. Also, when you just like sew your seam and finish that seam, okay? This gives you 3 layers of denim, all right? Yes, okay, 3 layers. When you do a flat felled seam, you get 4 layers of denim. Okay, 3 layers of denim, 4 layers of denim. Is that going to cause your machine to explode? No. But then when you get to a crotch seam, and I was just having this conversation with my mom. I do my flat felled seams a little differently. They still come out with 4 layers of denim. When you get to this crotch seam, all of a sudden, you've got 4 on 4 on 4 on 4. I mean, yeah, I think you can trim things away. You can do stuff like that. But when you do this and you just sew your 2 layers together and flip them over, you get a lot fewer layers. So you're not getting this exponential increase of layers of denim. All right. Now, still a lot of layers of denim there. This is where the hammers become your friends. Okay. You want to totally do this. Do this on your pockets. Do this, I don't care where, on your waistband. Yes, on the waistband, on like the pocket corners, on that crotch intersection. I don't care. You can hammer all your seams. They do that to like distress them sometimes. And it makes such a big difference. I cannot tell you. Okay, I'm like making myself nervous, like holding these close to my computer. So anyway, hammers are your friends. Now I saw someone say, go out, put your jeans on the concrete and hammer them. I wouldn't recommend that. Don't want to rough up your jeans on concrete. And like, you can crack concrete with your mallet. So I would get like a scrap piece of wood, or I just hammer like on my cutting table or something like that. Or, you know, even do it on the carpet. You actually want something that's maybe like going to absorb some shock, something soft, like a wooden block, versus I wouldn't do it on my concrete. Like, I've poured a lot of the concrete out of my house. Okay, so, Levi says the hems, the hems. All right. If you all have not listened to our podcast on how we hem jeans, you need to go do that right now. This mallet has shot in it. Can you hear that? So it actually gives you a little bit more oomph when you're hammering. We have a way for you to delete bulk in the hems that is so handy. You should be doing it all the time. It makes it so you're not sewing through a ton of layers, okay? Also the hammer, very important. That can be important too. this is the Zigzag live broadcast that we're going to do this month. This is going to be our sewing class. It's going to be hemming jeans and also doing some blind hemming on trousers. So keep a lookout for that. And if you want to upgrade to the Zigzag level and pay $18 for a sewing class with ZD and me, you can do that. So anyway, the hammer is going to help with fabric thickness. I felt like this helped a ton with the pocket corners a lot. Also, something with thickness, with top stitching, whether you're going to use top stitching thread or you're going to use a little bit of a faux finish or something like that, lengthen your stitch, okay? Please do this. This is something that we've come across we were talking about it last month in Foundations Month, which is totally different from sewing jeans, right? Like different materials, different fabrics, etc. The default stitch on your straight stitch, the default settings on your straight stitch, if you have like a computerized machine, will often be a 2.5 in length. Or if you have a mechanical machine where you have to set all the settings, it'll say set your length to 2.5. If I am top stitching, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. If I'm top stitching a pair of jeans, especially on this triple straight stitch that is thicker, I went to like a 4 or a 4.5. It's decorative. It's getting stitched over again. It's stitching through 3 layers here, and it will help your machine progress. And then if you've hammered your thickness and maybe walk it through a little bit on those thicker parts, that's totally acceptable. You're going to be able to get through that, even with a machine that doesn't have a very strong motor. So we talk about, people ask which machines to buy, and when you are buying a new machine or considering a new machine, finding that perfect intersection between cost and then between features and power and blah, blah, blah. Where is that? I mean, there's definitely a difference in the motor strength between like a $99 machine and like what I've got sitting over here, okay? And what I have over here, the Baby Lock Destiny, it has a lot more to it than just that motor strength, for sure. There's embroidery, there's all sorts of stuff like that. But you are going to get more motor strength. So if you are researching machines, think about that, okay? Take some denim to the dealership. Sew through it, all right? Needles will, of course, be helpful to you. Now, I have to say, I went through all these layers of denim over there with like a Microtex needle. And that's because I didn't try to like go through 16 layers of denim, okay? Which I'm just saying, it does not have to be necessary, okay? You don't have to do that using these other things, okay? So, when you are, where was I going with this? Oh. I wish your comments were more in real time to remind. Oh, equipment, needles. Here we go. Here's my last little thing. Equipment. So, yes, a stronger machine is going to help you. And then Sammy Joe says, once you go vintage, you never go back. Well, there are vintage machines that have strong motors and vintage machines that have weak motors, and there are modern machines that have weak motors and modern machines that have strong motors. So, find what works for you. And, you find that perfect intersection between what you want to spend and what's not going to frustrate you, etc., etc. And that's very personal for everyone. So we try to help out as much as we can, but that will be very personal for everyone. Okay, needles. If you don't know this, needles are categorized and developed and made with 2 things in mind. The type of thread that might be going through the needle and also the type of fabric that might be going through the needle. And then there are different sizes within those things. So, you have something like a denim needle. What's special about a denim needle? Denim needles are actually lubricated. They have a coating on them that helps them go through those thick layers. They're expecting you to go through something like, canvas or denim or something like that. Now, a top stitching needle, on the other hand, it is made to enclose that very thick thread that's, going more toward the yarn end of the spectrum than like the thread, okay? It's really thick. It encases that. A needle is the thread delivery system, not just a hole puncher, okay? So it's got to punch a hole big enough to deliver that thread through without the thread getting caught up. So if you are using top stitching thread, a top stitching needle is very important. However, there are different sizes of top stitching needle, and the groove that accommodates that thread gets bigger on the bigger sizes. So if someone is using top stitch thread, like the stuff we used to sell. I think it was 12 weight, 30 weight, can't remember. Sorry, but it was thicker, and we'd say get a size 100 top stitch needle. Okay, Jennifer, where do you learn all this stuff about needles? Well, we did a 2-episode series on needles and sewing out loud, and I think we talked about how, like, we've been trained on this stuff, but also the Schmetz site. I mean, and I think maybe, Jennifer, did you ever get a needle booklet from us? They are very transparent about what makes their needles, like why they call their needles different things, which I think is fabulous. Okay. Saritha says she's got to leave. Bye. So anyway, check out Schmetz, and you can check out that website. But something that was a big deal for me was when we did that video with Doug from Baby Lock, and he showed like how the needle goes through the fabric and creates the loop, and it really like made it all make sense to me. Creating that stitch, and it was a big epiphany for me, so that was nice. But yeah, Schmetz is very transparent. This has this coating, this has this kind of tip, this has this kind of eye, this has this kind of da-da-da-da-da. They're really great about that. So, do use an appropriate needle. It will make a difference in how the stitch is made. Like, you could think, a lot of people, I hear this a lot, say, I used top stitch thread and I had to like really mess with my tension, it never got right. If you never used the right needle, no, never got right. The needle will have a big effect on the stitch quality, maybe even more so than tension, okay? But like I said, you can avoid some of these things. So don't let your first pair of jeans be the first time you try out a new technique. Try it out on some scrap or like on a mock-up pair or something like that. Budget. Your time, your level of frustration. Maybe right now is not the time for you to make jeans. I would completely understand that if someone was like, hey, well, and someone commented, I said, what's your biggest fear about jeans? They were like, I hate wearing them. I'm like, well, don't make them then, you know? Definitely not. Zedie is not a big fan of jeans either. She finds them to be, sort of uncomfortable. And again, I don't like to wear them all the time, for sure. But anyway, know that this is going to be a project that will take you a little bit more time. When you go into your studio and you're going to make a drawstring bag versus a dress, dress is going to take a little longer. Or I know that one type of garment's going to take longer than another. So just extrapolate that into jeans. Oh, it's my first time, da-da-da-da. And I really would recommend reading some things about fit, etc. beforehand. Jennifer says, one more needle question. My serger takes regular needles, so do I switch those to denim needles too? What you're going to do with your serger on jeans is just finish 2 layers of denim if you choose to. Like, that's what I do. Okay. So, probably not. I mean, I bet your serger will go through 2 layers of denim using normal serger thread, and it's going to be fine. I guess I could be wrong. But, so, let me backtrack a little bit. What I showed at the beginning, what I actually recommend for people to do is just to seam their denim. That's this straight stitch here. Finish the edge. This is using a sewing machine overcasting stitch, which, like, a lot of you have. Okay, so nope, nothing special there. And then going back and top stitching. And one line of my top stitching is normal thread, just in a straight stitch, and the other line is normal thread in a triple stitch, so I didn't have to change any threads there, okay? What I do on my machine, here's option number 2 with your equipment. Let's say you have a sewing machine and a serger. You could sew your jeans together, your pattern pieces, right sides together, and then you could go do a 3-thread narrow. Please, do not do a 4-thread, adds bulk, unnecessary, not necessary. You're just finishing that off. You actually, I didn't trim mine first. If you know the jeans fit you, you could trim away the seam allowance a little bit more and not have such a bulky seam. Make sure that you know that they fit you first, okay? What I do now that I know, or after I know that my jeans pattern fits, I use what's called a 5-thread safety stitch on my serger cover stitch combo. So what that is it's a chain stitch. That's what seaming my pants together. Chain stitch is made up of 2 threads, so there's 2 of my 5. And then it's a 3-thread overlock narrow to finish it, so there's my 3 other threads. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5-thread safety stitch means that you're chaining it together, okay? And then finishing at the same time. This gets rid of like seam allowances and is fairly permanent. So if you haven't done your basting and your fitting and all that, you need to do that first. Fred says, I missed the first portion, but Mallory, did you tell people about your old live of basting ginger jeans? I go back to it every time I make jeans. Well, thank you, Fred. I did a couple of live videos that I find to be just amazing. No, I mean, helpful to people. I did basting of the ginger jeans and also finding a sizing the ginger jeans. So those are 2 videos. They are on YouTube. I will find the links to them, and perhaps I'll include them in a blog post that includes this video as well. So yeah, the concerns that everyone has about jeans, they are valid. I would offer, I'm offering solutions here. If it's something you don't want to do right now, I totally get it. But there are ways to kind of avoid the frustration that could come with making jeans. There are definitely ways to make it fun, to make it a little more foolproof than it could be. There are ways that you can be more successful than you would have without the, previous research, etc. Okay, and then if you're wanting to check out fabric and patterns, you can go to sewhere.com/confident, and if you use the code SEWHERE15, so that, mirror image, there we go. Over here, if you use code SEWHERE15, you're going to get 15% off your denim and your jeans pattern. So this is a wonderful deal from Kate and her team at the Confident Stitch. So do check that out if you're looking for jeans making supplies and patterns. Jennifer says, this was helpful. Thank you. I can do the safety stitch on my machine. I might try that next time. It would save time going from machine to machine. Yeah, Jennifer, if you know the fit is good, like if you're confident, I want to sew this seam and finish this seam, oh, the 5-thread safety stitch is just a dream. Yes, it is very lovely to have. Can you top stitch over the 5-thread safety stitch? Would you use a cover stitch or sewing machine? I used the sewing machine. So what I did, let's just like pretend that this is a 5-thread safety stitch because it really kind of looks like one. I just did it on the sewing machine. Yeah, so what I did was I seamed, this is what my fabric looked like on the outside. It just looked like a seam. But on the inside, it looked like this. And so I just pressed it over, and then I went over to the sewing machine and top stitched afterwards. I didn't use a cover stitch because I wanted to use thick top stitching thread, which I really wouldn't recommend putting in the needles of your cover stitch machine, but I also guess I haven't tried it. You could test this out, test it out. You could do 2 rows of chain stitching as well, and it would maybe give your fabric a little bit more flexibility too. But that's what I did. That was my process. And I guess maybe I didn't bring that up either. Let me get a drink real quick. Okay. This broadcast brought to you by water. Okay, so when you are doing this stuff, when you, like I said, don't do your first fly on your first pair of jeans that you spent, $1 million a yard on the fabric for and stuff like that. Test your recipes. Make yourself a faux crotch intersection and test out what you are doing. You don't want to get there. And it doesn't take long. Like, here's a faux crotch thing, okay, that I made myself that I was not going to do. But, here we go. There's my faux crotch seam. So I can see, oh, do I have to mess with tension? Oh, do I have to mess with stitch length or something like that? Oh, how much hammering do I have to do? Can't tell you how much difference the hammer makes. I just can't tell you. Okay, it's amazing. I worked with some people at the shop who had some machines that did not have super strong motors. Okay, they were like entry level, and we would hammer those seams, and they would go right through. It really compresses the fibers. It's quite amazing. Okay, so what can happen when you come up upon the thickness, it's not just about the penetrating power of the needle. It can be that the foot, can angle. You can put something up under the back of the foot to even it out. yeah, all that, and that's great, but also hammering, okay, it's good too. Okay. All right, well, I think that pretty much covered many of the concerns that you all had, and I appreciate you all watching. And like I said, go show the Confident Stitch some love if you're looking for a way to support a local fabric store, brick-and-mortar garment sewing store that carries a wide variety of fabric. It's like a unicorn! Go to sewhere.com/confident and then use the code SEWHERE15 for 15% off all of your denim and your jeans sewing patterns as well. All right, everybody. So long and so happy. Keep the conversation going, and I will try to link to those other videos as well. Bye-bye.